My mom has a biopsy today, so we can know more about her cancer. Today is Tuesday, November 24th. She has pancreatic cancer and ovarian cancer. We don't know much more than that right now. And I've just spent a little bit of time thinking about other people. And I was thinking about Chris Quilala, who wrote the song God of Miracles. His song was written after his son died. And he talked about, I believe in you, you're the God of miracles. And for him, the miracle he was hoping for didn't come. And I understand that that is a reality. And I'm trying very hard not to grieve for my mother like she's already dead, because she's not. She's very much alive. But I'm grieving on a lot of different levels. I mean, the fear of death is ever present. But God is my ever-present help in time of trouble. And I have to constantly remind myself of that. And more than that, he's not just my ever-present help in time of trouble. He's my mother's ever-present help in time of trouble. And I'm just leaning into that because I don't know. And I was just saying to the Lord, I'm afraid to trust you for a miracle because I know that they don't always happen. And we're in such desperate need of a miracle. And I'm trying not to feel like I'm going to live the rest of my life traumatized and afraid that my mother's cancer will return. And, and I think people, from what I've read, it seems like a lot of people go through that every 6 months or when they get their scans. They brace themselves. Maybe that's my new reality, I don't know. But I was thinking about Chris Quilala writing that song. And I was thinking about Jeremy Camp when his wife died, and he wrote, I still believe in your faithfulness. And I thought, people who have been through the fire and they come out on the other side with their faith intact and have lost everything that matters to them, to be able to write a song like that, that's some powerful faith. And I was thinking about Psalm 77. I actually wrote about this on the Way of the Worshipper. Now it's haunting me. When Asaph wrote, it's Psalm 77:10, and Asaph wrote, this is my grief, yet I will remember the years I've had at the right hand of the Most High. And I know that we have to force ourselves to push past our feelings. I teach about that. And here I am. My mom is having her biopsy right now, actually. What time is it? As we speak, my mom is having, we'll know if she needs to have surgery or chemo. I guess we'll know the path forward. She's been very conflicted. She's a nurse. People call her Nurse Nancy. That's her name, Nancy. Because, you know too much, and you know everything that can go wrong, and you've taken care of those patients who writhe in agony. And now you are one of them. It's like your nightmare, you know. And she came over the other night. My mom doesn't cry a lot, but there were a few times in our lives that I've seen her be very broken. And she came over the other night, and my girls had made her a card, and they wanted to dance for her to In the Hall of the Mountain King by Pearkin. It goes dun 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 dun. They did this whole weird thing, and my mom was sitting on the couch watching them, and they were so proud to dance for her. And she was sitting on the couch watching them, and she had a look in her eye. She had a look in her eye. It was this horrible mixture of pain and sorrow and joy. And I knew what she was thinking. I knew she was thinking, how many more days of this do I have left? The youngest grandchildren, 5, 6 years old, dancing for her, so happy to have her watch and applaud them. And I just know, because I know my mom, I know she was watching them and she was fighting back the thoughts of, will I see my grandchildren grow up? Will they remember me? I can't bear the thought of my children not remembering my mother. I can't think about it. Because she's such a wonderful person. To think that she could only ever be a shadow to them, a distant memory, a fading memory, and I just can't let my mind go there. Can't. I have to celebrate what I have with my mom. I was thinking the other day about when I turned 16. I really wanted a costume party, but my birthday is right before Halloween. It's on October 27th. And my mom was so diehard against Halloween in any way, shape, or form that she wouldn't let me have a costume party because it was too close to Halloween. And she thought nothing but no costume, so she made me wait. I had to wait a really long time till we were really far away from Halloween so I could have my costume party. She didn't want anyone to associate it with Halloween. And she dressed as the Statue of Liberty. I was one of the 3 Musketeers, me and 2 of my friends. I was really into that movie at the time. It was the 90s. And my mom was the Statue of Liberty, which is so fitting because my mom is a psychotic patriot for the United States of America. My mom, when I was a kid, she had us learn every patriotic song from every branch of the military. She would make us stand in my little town at the gazebo. She would make her school. Our school would go. And she formed a little choir. And on Memorial Day, our little choir would go down to the gazebo in the center of town. And we would sing, over hill, over dale, as we hit the dusty trail, and the caissons go rolling along. I can still remember them. And she was so proud. We still together because we know him. And she changed the words to Anchors Away, the Navy song, because she thought they were singing about beer. We would sing, anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day, day, to our last night on shore. And the words go, hail to the foam, which I believe is a reference to the foam of the ocean waves. But my mom thought they were raising a glass of alcohol and hailing the foam on top of a beer. So we had to sing, to our last night on shore, where'er we roam, until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. We would sit there in our school uniforms, stand on this little gazebo. They would do the gun salute and all these things. My mom still, even this year, even with her cancer, she went to the Veterans Day Parade in that little tiny town, and there's COVID and everything going on in the world. She showed up. She was so proud of my grandpa because he served in the Korean War. And my brother, and he served in the military. My dad was in the Army. My brother was a Navy SEAL. She's such a hard patriot. Everything she does is filled with passion. And she throws her full weight behind it. And she will push you until she gets what she wants done. She just has this way. And I think about her tenacity. And then I think about her brokenness. And how hard she's trying to stay in faith. And it's hard because she is trying to stay in faith. You have those raw moments of humanity that break through and you think, I don't know if I'm going to make this one. I don't know. I remember another time at my birthday. I don't know how old I was, maybe 13. Punk teenager. Typical punk. And in my house, we weren't allowed to say, oh my God. It was like a curse word. Bad. It was punishment. We're spank worthy at my house. And I had a birthday party. And my mom and dad, my dad is a really fun person. They both are. They're both so fun. And I remember my dad organized a game of kick the can. I loved kick the can as a kid. I don't even know if anyone plays it anymore. But my mom and dad would do kick the can up big. I mean, like, they would put a can in the middle of an open field park with a bunch of hiding spots. You had to run across the open field to kick the can. My dad always wanted to be it. He's really strategic. And it was really hard to beat my dad at the time. I kicked the can. And I remember I was so mad at my mom. I don't remember why. Maybe she yelled at me. Maybe I did something and she had to push back or something. But I remember during that party, I was standing on our deck. Maybe I was out. I don't know. I was standing on our deck. And she was busying herself setting up cake and plates for her little brat daughter. And I was like, oh my God. Because all my friends were around. And I didn't think she'd push back on me. And every time I do something, I'd be like, oh my God. Oh my God. Duh. Finally, my mom was like, she finally turned around like, you say that one more time, your friends are out. She's like, I will shut this party down so fast your head will spin. She used to say that kind of stuff, your head will spin, or I'll knock you into next Tuesday. And I was scared of her in that moment because she was like, if I have to humiliate you in front of your pals, that's what I'll do. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was so angry with her. We were just laughing the other night about just the brat I was. Such an emotional kid. And I'll just tell you the story. It's a little bit of TMI, but I remember the weekend I got my period for the first time. I had an emotional breakdown. I mean, like, it's like a flood of hormones hit me all at once. Our church was supposed to have a picnic that day, and we were supposed to go swimming. And I was really new at the whole thing, right? And so the thought of me not being able to go swimming, I collapsed on the ground in my bedroom, on the floor. Pink carpet my mom and I had picked out. I loved the color at the time. I loved the color bubblegum pink. And I had a bubblegum pink carpet. White French country furniture. My mom hand painted for me. And I collapsed and I wailed because I couldn't go swimming. And my mom was like, Alicia, you can still go swimming. I'll help you. We'll figure this out. And I mean, I thought my life was over. And I was like, no! Right. And I rolled around and screamed and wailed on that ground. And my mother was like, she is not having it. So she's like, all right, we're going to go to the picnic. And you stay here and scream. I was like 13, right? So, and the picnic wasn't that far away. And I remember I sat at my window. I watched them pull out of the driveway, my mom and my dad and my brother. I was like, no, no. Screaming my ass out of control, screaming. And I remember wailing at that window. I don't even know how long I cried for. But I know that my mom was gone for about 2 hours. And it was an all-day picnic. It was like, we were playing softball, and there was swimming, and there was games, and there was sand volleyball, and there was, food and fellowship, music, worship time, whatever. This huge campground in the area. And so it's going to be an all-day thing. So 2 hours later, my mom came back. And she walked in my room, and I was slumped up against the wall, I just don't know what my mom went through with me. And she looked down at me. She's like, yeah, making me okay? You ready to get up and go to the picnic with me now? And I was like, yeah, I want to go to the picnic. She's like, get your bathing suit. And, we had our emotional times where we would fight. We screamed at each other. In fact, the other night I was thinking, I can't believe I ever screamed at such a wonderful person. I can't believe I ever threatened her. I can't believe the times I ever hated her, wanted to get away from her. Such a persistent person. And I know, we all go through those times. But I was saying to my husband, I was like, I'll never yell at her again. He said something like, you and your mom are going to have one of your 2-hour scream matches. It's not even screaming. It's not like we're fighting. It's like we yell talk. You know what I mean? Like, mothers and daughters have such a complex relationship. My mom and I yell talk. Talk over each other, but somehow we both understand perfectly well what the other person is saying. And he said, I'm looking forward to the day, your mom's gonna be okay, and I'm looking forward to the day when you and your mom sit in the living room again and yell at each other with your strong opinions for 2 hours. And he's like, and then mysteriously you get up and hug and cry and love each other and go home. It was like, I will never yell at my mother. I was like, she can always have her way. I don't care what it is. I'll give her anything she wants. I can't believe I ever cared enough to argue with my mom or hold my ground. I just feel like, you can have anything you want, Mom. Just live. You can have anything. And it was just when my wedding dress, I remember, got in a huge fight because my wedding dress was really low cut. And my mom wanted me to put a little piece of lace across the middle for modesty. This was the woman when I wanted to wear a two-piece in high school. I begged and screamed and pleaded and whatever. Well, my friends were wearing two pieces, but in our youth group, you couldn't wear a two-piece to a pool party. And some, like, non-Christian girls would show up and they would wear a two-piece. But the church would, my mother would have, like, modesty t-shirts available for them. And so they would have to wear these modesty t-shirts. So my mom let me buy a quote-unquote two-piece. And it was actually not a two-piece, it was a sports bra and a bottoms that came up like past my belly button. So it was like this much inch of flesh showing between the two. And I had to wear a pair of shorts on the bottom and a t-shirt on the top. So now I'm like more fully dressed. I was like more fully dressed at the pool than I've ever been. But that was the compromise. I could wear something that was technically in two halves, but I still had to completely cover up. I had to wear modesty shorts and I had to wear a modesty shirt. You know, my mom came from such crazy background. Nobody cared about her. I mean, they loved her. She came from a family that loved her. She came from a really messed up family with a lot of alcoholism and screaming and abuse. And she got in some trouble, you know, when she was young and she got involved in drugs and she dropped out of school in the 60s. And, you know, God just so radically transformed her life and my dad's that they did a complete 180. They went from like, I don't know, Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and pot and crack or whatever they were doing to the Oak Ridge Boys. I don't know. They were listening to like WGNA, which is a station around here. It was like old timey gospel. And, you know, my dad cut all his hair off and burned all his records. And my mom stopped wearing makeup and covered up. And so that's how I was raised when I was a kid. My parents were really radical like that. I mean, they're still radical. They've just been a little tempered over time. They were in like a hyper Pentecostal movement where like we didn't celebrate Christmas and the women didn't wear makeup and they wore their hair long. And so for my really early formative years, they were like that. And I remember being so happy to wear that two-piece until I realized, I look at my other friends, theirs were like really cute and mine was a sports bra. That's what she was. But I remember my mom would sew my school uniforms. And I went to a Christian school that my dad started. My mom sewed my uniforms. My mom sewed my cheerleading outfits. We didn't have a lot of money, and so she bought white sweatshirts and ironed on Hosanna on the front of my sweatshirt. That was the name of my school. And she's so clever. She has so much ingenuity in her. She was always figuring out a way. My school was really small and we didn't have a science program. And my mom wanted to be a nurse so badly. And she had gone to nursing school before I was born. And when she got pregnant with me, she dropped out because she didn't want to be that mom. And that's fine for some people, but it wasn't for her. She wanted to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. But by the time I was in 6th grade and my school started, my dad started that school, my mom wanted to support, you know, the science effort. She wanted kids to learn science because she was always so interested in science. She went to the butcher and took these cow eyeballs and like a liver and a heart. I think she had a cow heart. We all gathered around and she dissected it and she showed us every part and she talked to us about anatomy. And that vitreous humor liquid, I remember, it squirted out. She was so excited. And when I was like a few years after that, when I was about 14, my mom did go back to nursing school. She made the dean's list. She graduated at the top of her class. And I remember how hard she worked. I remember. And at the time, we had someone living with us who had a friend who had multiple sclerosis, and they had moved in with us. And my mom had been taking care of her and running the house and going to nursing school. She worked so hard. And I was so proud of my mom, but I didn't get it until now. I didn't until I was an adult and I had my own family. I didn't understand how hard that must have been for her. And now I can barely get out of bed and cooking dinner, and my husband's the one mopping the floors because I'm so grief-stricken. And I'm trying not to sink into despair. My mother's still alive, and I want to celebrate that. And we have plans to learn new recipes together for pancreatic cancer diet, and to go for walks. And she's in this biopsy right now. She's going in 5 minutes. And I'm fighting such fear. I have a perpetual acid stomach. My stomach burns. The thought of what we're gonna find out. And I'm trying so hard and I'm crying out. I believe in you. You're the God of miracles. Understanding that life doesn't always work out and God doesn't always do the things we hoped He would do. And yet being so keenly aware that He's my only hope, and I'm throwing all my weight behind Him I'm trying really hard not to have an agenda when I worship God, because He's worthy beyond the parameters of my life. He's so worthy. And I need Him. And my mom needs Him, and my dad needs Him, and we need God to break through. And I'm trying not to beg, but I am begging because I'm so conflicted about what God hears and doesn't hear. I know He hears. I know He does. I have a witness and a testimony. I have so many testimonies of the goodness of God in my life. And I'm believing, like Asaph said. He said, I cried day and night. This is my grief, but I will remember the goodness of the years I spent at the right hand of the Most High. And that's what I'm looking to do. This is my grief. I acknowledge it. I acknowledge this is my grief. I'm grieving. I'm grieving, and I'm presenting God all my fear and my anxiety and my hopelessness. And I even said to the Lord, I was like, I want to believe. I do believe. But this is my grief. Yet I will remember the years of the goodness of God, the years of the right hand of the Most High. I'm choosing to. But I acknowledge what I'm walking through. And I need God. I need God to do something beyond what I can see. And I believe that He is. I believe in you. You're the God of miracles and repentance. My friend said to me, I said, my mom has cancer. My mom has cancer. She said, you need another little saying. She said, how about, my mom has cancer, but Jesus has the answer. I'm gonna get that. Maybe I'll get it tattooed, except my mother would furious if I got another tattoo. My mom has cancer. Jesus has the answer.